What it do, snackers and snackettes? It's your boy Gage. This is Snacking and Hanging, episode 54.
Mm.
One of the suspects here in the building with me, LS Crew. Send speak to the folks.
What's up, y'all? Sorry about last week, but I'm better now and I'm back. So I'm ready to get into it.
My man say he better and he's back. He's better and he's
Yeah,
back.
yeah. I
That's
was down
like
for the count all week long, so I'm good now.
it's like
I'm ready.
that's like the motto for his new trailer.
There
Sin.
we go. I'm better
He's
and I'm
better.
back.
He's better and he's back. Part
I
2,
need a
dog.
movie. I need a movie poster with that on it.
Sincere. Part 2. He's
Dope.
better
I like it. I
and
like
he's
it.
back. Yeah.
I need one of them artists we be meeting up with at Awesome Cons and stuff like that to go and put that together for me.
Hey, let's make it happen. Let's make it happen, Captain. Hey, dog. Real talk, real quick. One time, you see Stan Lee's coming to Awesome Con?
I did.
Yep. It's
That
going
and
down.
look, I've been saying it for years. Awesome Con gonna be on the map. The way they've been doing it every year and the way it's
Yeah.
been growing every single year. Yeah. Awesome Con gonna be up there with New York and San Diego and all those. I'm telling y'all.
Yep.
Real
It's
talk.
real. It's
Yeah.
real. Yeah. Yeah. Shout out to Awesome Con for that grab. That's what's up.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Hey, so check it out. So this week we're actually gonna piggyback a little bit on some of what we talked about last week, as far as the way GameStop's kind of handling video game sales and things like that. That whole circle of life thing. We got some new information. We're gonna start there. I do want to talk a little bit about this announced new Castlevania TV show that's supposed to be coming to Netflix. I just want to kind of pick your brain a little bit about that. So without any further ado, man, let's just rap a little bit about what is going on in the retail space when it comes to video games, because again, kind of on piggybacking off of what happened last week, we talked about the whole thing with GameStop and the circle of life, and them telling people, hey, we don't have new copies of games because we need to sell you old copies, used copies and things like that. So basically, an article was released this week, and the article itself, I think it was games.biz, gameindustry.biz. They had some sources that basically said that what's going on right now is that retailers are in talks with publishers to sell physical copies of games early. And when I say early, we're talking like maybe 3 weeks early. Which at first, when I read that, I was like, that doesn't even make sense. Why even bother having a release date or, whatever. But basically, based on what the article is saying, is that retailers would be able to, if you pre-order a game, you would be able to take the physical disc home with you, but that the disc itself would be locked. And that might help, people do, say, the impulse buy thing. Hey, you can take it home with you right now. Can't play it, but you can take it home with you right now, kind of thing. What do you think about this, Sin?
I do see it from the impulse buy perspective that I can definitely see people walking in and want to grab it now so they don't have to go out at midnight and stand in line or the day of, and perhaps them not being able to get it. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. I can see
Right.
that working to their favor.
Yeah.
I do see. I understand the problems that they're thinking, like with piracy and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I definitely see the problem with that. But in that terms, that's just a circle of life type of thing. Like people learn how to pirate, they learn how to block it, they learn how to get past it, and the cycle just goes on and on and on and on. So it is what it is with that. Like that doesn't really bother me. I think it could help. The problem is going to be with that is the bear with me here. It's the returning aspect of it. So somebody buys something 3 weeks early, they come and pick it up, they haven't played it yet, and let's say a review drops, and it's a negative review.
Mm-hmm.
and then they want to take it back. I think that's the problem that they're going to be somewhere around that bracket is where the problem they're going to be looking into with selling them early. Like with us being, you know, digital, our thing is when we buy it, we're stuck with it regardless. No matter if we buy
Yeah.
it months in months in advance or whatever. Like once we paid for it, we cannot take it back. So how are they going to deal with that aspect of it? You know, so I
Well,
think that'll be a problem for them.
I mean, I think it would be the same thing as if you walk in and you buy it at midnight, right? I mean, many times when there's a review, the review maybe hits the day before the release, so
Mm-hmm.
maybe it's that Monday. Maybe in some cases there's a, there, there's something saying you can't talk about this game or release a review for it until the day of or until after it releases.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I mean, if you have a physical copy that was a pre-order, if it if it happens to be that you want to return that pre-order before the game comes out, maybe because there's a negative review and it impacts it and you decide, you know what, I don't want this, then I would imagine you'd be able to take it back and get all your money back for it, right? And maybe different
As long as
retailers
you
will
don't
do it
break that
different ways.
cellophane.
I mean, maybe, you know what I mean? I guess,
Yeah,
you know,
that's how it is
you have
now. As
to.
long as you don't break the cellophane, you can take it back and get all your money back. But once you rip that cellophane off, then it's considered a used game,
Well,
whether you
that's
put it in the
well, you're
system or not.
right, but I guess what I'm saying is that's my point is that if it's before the game has released and you want to take it back, you should get all your money back. And I think that to some
I
extent
agree. I
should
agree.
be the case, whether you've opened the cellophane or not, right?
I
Because
agree.
technically you could put the disc because in almost all cases you're gonna store the game to your hard drive anyway,
You
right?
got to
But the
install
game's
it
not
first,
gonna
right?
right, but the game won't play without the disc. So it doesn't, you know what I mean? It doesn't really matter if you've done that already, right? So unless somebody figures out how to pirate it and make a copy of it, that works. That's, you know what I mean? That is what it is. But if that was the case or if that was an issue already, that'd be something that it would already be happening. You know what I mean? If somebody buys one copy and they just make copies of it and it works, they just be getting copies for their friends or whatever. So I don't really think that's a big issue. But I think it would end up being, hey, um, you know, we I bought this game, I decided I don't want it, and you take it back to the store. And maybe depending on the retailer, whether it's Best Buy or whether it's GameStop or whatever, they may handle that differently. They may, GameStop may say, all right, well, you can take the pre-order and you can pre-order something else with it. You know what I mean? Or you can put the money towards something else, but we don't give you your money back. You know what I'm saying? Or something like
Mm-hmm.
that. And that could be a thing that happens. Now, on the flip side, if it happens to be that it's the day of release, then and it's open, then you're gonna get back $20 for it. Or whatever GameStop wants to give you, or whoever it is that you bought it from wants to give you. But I also think that there is something to be said for, physical pre-orders from somewhere like Amazon and what that would do. Because you got to figure like that would have, I think, a, a a huge impact on a place like GameStop. Because right now, yes, you can pre-order games from Amazon. You can pre-order them digitally. I mean, that's how I did Final Fantasy
Right.
15. You can pre-order them digitally. And again, right now, my only gripe with that is if you have Amazon Prime and you pre-order or you buy a new game within the first 2 weeks, you get 20% off. So it's already a better deal than you can get almost anywhere you go except for Best Buy if you're a Gamers Club member. But if you told me that if I buy the physical copy from Amazon now and the game doesn't come out for another 3 weeks and I'm going to get it tomorrow, right? So I'll have the disc. I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to wait for it to get shipped to me on the day of release. You know what I mean? Kind of thing. So I've already got it. Then you're up a little bit and you don't have to go anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Um, but at the same time, and Amazon's pretty good about returns. You know what I mean, and things like that too. They also do take used games at Amazon. So, I don't know. I mean, I look at this as as what it is. This is another way that retailers are trying to combat what is happening on the digital landscape, where
Right.
digital pre-orders and digital sales are absolutely eating away at what what physical retailers click and order versus brick and mortar um, stores are doing. So I mean, while I think that it's a novel idea, I don't know. I think it could be it could have a negative impact, as much as it could have a positive impact.
It's not going to be enough to push the needle to where people want to go out and go get physical copies. Like it's not going to stop. It's not going to do anything to help. It'll do a little something, I think, but not nothing significant to move that needle in the direction that they're trying to go as far as getting people more so back into going buying physical copies instead of going out to get digital and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it puts us in a place where people are like, if they want a physical copy that bad, then now people have to worry about being able to pre-order the pre-order. In other words, you got to think about it, like GameStop has like a book. This is what's coming out next year. This is what's coming out in,
Mm-hmm.
you know, December, right? And people
Oh
go
yeah.
in and might pre-order or put $5 down on something, right? But it's like, if I walked into a store in April and put money down on a game that comes out in September, and the release date for the pre-order physical copy is going to be 3 weeks before the actual release date of the game. Now I'm pre-ordering the pre-order. I'm putting money down on it so that I can come back and pick up my physical copy 3 weeks before the game actually releases, so that I have it and I don't have to worry about midnight. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
it just creates another barrier to me, like another
Yes,
layer.
it's an extra step. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, on the digital front, once we got it, then that's it. We're just waiting for the actual midnight so we can play it.
yeah, because I can't imagine, right, that they're gonna be like, all right, well, if we give you physical copies for pre-orders to actually give to people, and we figure out a way to not have to worry about the piracy and whatever else, it's not like they're not gonna start doing pre-orders until 3 weeks before. You see what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean?
Oh
They're gonna
no,
continue.
no, 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 no,
Yeah,
no,
they're
no,
gonna
no.
continue to do pre-orders months in advance. So,
Absolutely.
it's again, it feels to me like it's another layer that is likely to keep, um to I think, maybe to make people just go like, well, I can just download it now on my system. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know that it would actually help the physical side of things at all. Um, look, at the same time, maybe it does. You know, maybe it makes people go, oh, well, I can walk out with it right now. And like, as in terms of being able to say, give somebody a gift. I know this game doesn't come out for another month. You know what I mean? But your birthday is now, or it's Valentine's Day now. So here's the actual copy of the game. When it comes out, you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to
Right.
do anything. You already have it, right? Instead of being like, well, I went to the store and I pre-ordered it for you. Well, which store
Now I
did you
gotta
go
figure out how
to?
to now I gotta figure out how to get a ride up there, and I
Right,
gotta take two buses. People stuff like that to get up there. I have it. It's in my house now. Now I just gotta
right.
wait for the actual day where it goes live where I can play it.
Right. Not to mention, well, which store did you pre-order it from? Did you get it from the one at the mall over here? Did you get it at the one down the street over here? Where do
Oh,
I have to go to actually pick up my pre-order? You know what I
and
mean?
I know
Which to
we
me,
both.
I
I
think is
know back in
also
the day
another
we both
barrier.
been in those. We both been in those situations back in the day where you pre-order something from a GameStop that isn't your local one,
Yeah.
and then when the day comes, like I gotta drive all the way out there to pick this damn game up.
Right. Right.
Ah,
It's not. Yeah. So I mean,
yeah.
again, there is that. I do think that there's something to be said for that, and that's probably where it would have its biggest impact. Right. You're a parent
Mm.
who walks in to pick up a game for a child, but then again, you're also giving a child a physical brick at the moment. You know what I'm saying? Like,
There you
well,
go. There you go.
here's a new
I'm
coaster.
I'm sitting with this game. I'm in my hand. I have the
Right.
game, but I can't
Right.
play it for another 60 days,
Right.
like or something like that. You know what I mean? Like really, I'm just sitting here. I can just look at it.
I
I
mean,
can
still,
take it out. I can look at this pamphlet inside, which nowadays has nothing on it,
you're right.
and just stare at it.
I mean, again,
Excuse me.
it's also it is at least, there are people who go in and pre-order something as a gift, for someone, knowing that they're not going to be able to get it right away. I mean, you got to look at the way that things happen, at Christmas now. There are games that get pushed back to December, to the end of December, or to like the beginning of January or something like that, right? And it's like, so you're telling me I can walk in Black Friday, actually pick up a physical copy of a pre-order of a game, right? And then I can give it to them for the holiday, even though they won't be able to play it until January 15th or whatever. And that still does, it's kind of nice in terms of gift giving. At the same time, it's kind of also gotten to the point where it's easier under most
Mm,
circumstances to just give somebody a gift card. You know what I mean? At that point,
yeah,
right?
got it.
So it
Sorry.
depends. Nah, you're
Go
good,
ahead.
man.
Yeah, I got it. Got it.
Don't
Finally got it
just
out. All right.
don't have an asthma
Whew.
attack.
Nah. I'm good. I said just the coughing spell has died down very little, but it's still a little bit there. So,
It's
all
still
right.
real.
Yeah, it is. All right. So that was out. Let's go. Keep going.
There. So I mean, I can see the upside to it. I don't think that it would completely work. It might help for a little bit. You know
That's
what I mean? But
that's
I
kind of
don't.
like what I was saying. I think it's not going to move the needle if all much, but it'll do a little something. Is what I'm trying to
Yeah, it
say.
might
Like
slow
just
things down.
yeah, a
I
little
mean, again,
something.
I think it's just as likely to push people. You know what I mean? The other way. Like to me, here's the thing that's crazy. It almost seems to me like it would make more sense for a company like GameStop to put more effort into advertising the fact that they can sell you codes to allow you to do a digital download, because they do.
I agree.
You
I
you can
agree.
literally
But the
walk
pro,
in and say, "Hey, I want to get this game for PlayStation 4, but I want the digital." And they can literally sell it to you at the price that the game costs and print you a receipt that has a code that you just put in on your box to download it. And I feel like if GameStop was being more cognizant of doing something like that, right? Now, I'm not sure how the money breaks down for something like that, right? Like with a physical disc that's there, obviously, GameStop has to make some sort of a profit off the original sale of the physical, product. And then the publisher has to get a cut of what that is. And they have to pay for the packaging and the shipping and the printing of the materials. And, somewhere along the lines, the developer gets, paid something. Um, but when
I
they
think that's
sell
why.
just a digital
Mhm.
code, how does that break down as far as who gets paid what? You
I
understand
think
what I'm
that's why
saying?
they. I think that's why they don't. Even though they offer it, they don't push it because everything is so with them. Pre-orders, trade-ins, like it's everything's all physical based with them. Even though they offer the digital selection, like I feel like they're tied in. They're so tied into this physical realm. Like you trading in
Yeah, but what
stuff.
if, like,
Mm-hmm.
you're right, but what if, I mean, imagine for a second that GameStop put a program together that did something like, hey, when you buy the digital copy of us, from us, we give you this. So something that ties you back in. So let's say let's just say they gave you some sort of a benefit for being a GameStop rewards member, right? Besides the Game Informer magazine that was like, hey, when you purchase from us digitally, you get this. You know what I mean? And I don't know what that thing would be, but I mean, you got to look at it this way. GameStop now owns um ThinkGeek, right? So
Yeah.
why hasn't GameStop put together something like Loot Crate has, right? Where people subscribe, pay a certain amount of money a month, and they ship out, well, these different groups of gifts and things like that. They could very easily, I think, get into something like that where, hey, you're a GameStop rewards member, you pay us a monthly fee that gives you this, and by being a member and continuing to pay us that monthly fee, you get, a discount on your digital purchases, right? Like in terms of the physical product that they sell a ton of physical product that is toys and things like that aren't the actual games. There's other stuff that's there that they make money on. And now you own a company like ThinkGeek that tons of people go to and buy very specific, you know what I mean, targeted
Mm-hmm.
types of of,
Yeah.
of product that's
Yeah.
physical product. So you do have this window where you could say, okay, Loot Crate is doing this, and you know, pop vinyl is doing this with Marvel and with DC, and you know what I mean. You can look at
Mhm.
all the different types of box subscriptions that there are. You don't think that GameStop should be able to do some kind of a subscription box that does something like that? You know what I mean? Like, give people. The problem that I have with GameStop is that there is no real incentive anymore for going there other than being able to trade your old games. And there was a time when it was like, well, you'll be able to even trade your digital games. Like, they were looking into that. I'm pretty sure Microsoft was looking into that when they were talking about going all digital and the
Yeah,
whole, you know what I
yeah.
mean?
I think people are still looking into that. It's just nobody has a concrete answer yet, so it's
Yeah,
still
like, how do you
being
do it?
looked at.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still being looked
Um
at. Yeah.
so the the idea of saying, okay, well, we have all this physical product that we own. So let's put a box together. You know what I mean? And it doesn't have to be a GameStop box. It could be a Think Geek box. You know what I mean? Or, or whatever you want to call it. But it could be a
Right.
Think Geek box. But obviously it's tied into GameStop. So use that. You know what I mean? Like, use that as leverage. You know what I mean? To move those things. Give people a discount when they pre-order. Again, if you look at what the competition is doing with somebody like Amazon, who doesn't have to deal with having storefronts and not as many retail people to pay to move and shovel product and you know what I mean, and rotate things in the front of the store and vacuum and whatever, right? Like,
Lord.
when you look at those things and say, okay, Amazon's giving a 20% discount whether you pre-order the physical copy or you buy the physical copy within the first 2 weeks. And if you're, a Best Buy Rewards member, that Best Buy Rewards card is like $30 for a year, and all the new games are 20% off. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So they're making up that money somewhere. You know what I mean? And then if you're buying, say, from Best Buy or whatever, you already have rewards points that you can then use to get another discount on top of the discount you're already getting. So you can apply, oh, I've got these points too, so let me take another $10 or $20 off the cost of this game. That's why I go to Best Buy versus why I go to, you know what I mean? And it's not like they don't do trade-ins too. So
Mm.
to me, GameStop's gotta, if this is something that retailers across the board are looking at, then GameStop's gotta come up with something new.
It seems like they're stuck in an old way of they they're stuck in, like, I guess, that Nintendo way of thinking. I don't know if that's the right word I'm looking for, but like very old school. Like,
Yeah, you know what?
you need to embrace what's going on now.
No doubt.
Like,
I look at
digital is here.
GameStop.
Digital is not going nowhere. Digital is the future. It is what it is.
It
You
is
need to
there.
find a way
GameStop
to.
is
I get that you
blockbuster.
have. Yeah, I get the fact that you have a lot of pre-owned titles and stuff like that that you have that you're trying to do something with. That's not a problem with, but you need to figure out this digital realm as well and make a space for it, or else you will not be here. That's
Yeah,
just facts. You will
yeah,
not last because the future is gone digital. That's just the way it is.
yeah. I mean, I feel like literally GameStop should be looking into ways to create like a GameStop app that runs on your PlayStation, your Switch, your Xbox, that people can go, like, if you're a rewards member or something from GameStop, then there's a reason for you to be able to open that app, pre-order a code or get a code from them that gives you some
Dog,
sort of a discount or some sort of a benefit, but still works directly through your system. You know what I mean?
dog,
And go
you're
ahead.
absolutely right. I mean, Best Buy has one. Amazon has one. I mean, Xbox has one. PlayStation has one. All these people that we've been talking about, besides GameStop, has an app that you can go log into and buy
Right, but I
stuff
mean one. I mean one that is
on
like
the system
literally
itself.
on the system.
No, I
You know
feel
what
you,
I
but I'm
mean? Like,
saying, like, they all, at least the other ones, have apps. Now, Amazon may not be on the Xbox or the PlayStation, but they have an app that you can at least go to on your cell phone,
right, right. I guess
log
I
in and
mean,
go,
like, yeah.
yeah,
I
log in
guess
and go
that's my
download
point.
the
That's
game. Yeah,
somebody like Amazon sells
yeah.
so much other stuff
Oh,
besides.
absolutely.
You know what I mean? But
We live
so
off Amazon nowadays.
yeah. So I mean, people grocery shop through Amazon. It's a little
Yep.
different, but again, I think for a company like GameStop that really has their stock in
In
games
video games, yeah.
and hardware, right? Because you still got to have a place to get hardware. But at
Very
the end of
true.
the day, like, if you look at what Blockbuster was a company that made the majority of their profit from people turning in stuff late. They made it off of late fees. And when when Netflix comes along, before there's really a digital version of Netflix, when Netflix comes along and says, well, we'll ship it to you in the mail, you just pay us a monthly fee and there's no return fee. You know what I mean? Like, just pay us and don't worry about when you're done with it,
And it comes
send it
directly to
to
your
us.
house.
And
Yeah.
you know what I
You
mean?
don't got to go out
And
and go
that's
get
it.
it. Yeah.
And initially, the biggest issue I would say that a company like Netflix had was the amount of time it took for you to get something once you put that, that order in. Like, well, I want to rent this, right? And that whole thing of, well, I got to send it back. So let me put this in the mailbox and send this back, and then they can send me, the next thing on my list, or whatever. Um, and block and but
I forgot about
and
them damn lists. I ain't used them in forever.
right, but I think Blockbuster
Wow.
didn't see the digital part of that coming. And then eventually Blockbuster got a digital app. They got a digital way for you to watch movies and stuff like that, but it was like too little, too late.
It was too late. Yeah.
Their
Yeah.
stores are shutting down, they're closing, all over the place. And that's kind of where I feel like GameStop is. Like, GameStop is at the cusp of being Blockbuster, where there will eventually be no reason at all to
It's going to be
walk
too
into a
little too late.
GameStop. And it's
Yeah.
not because of the games, because you can go, unless you're looking for a game that is so old, so obscure, that the only way you're going to find it is if you find a used copy of it. You know what I mean? Like, it's not going to be in a digital store anymore, anywhere, or something like that. Like, there is something that's important about something like that, right?
Like
Like,
last time, I think I can actually remember the last two times I went into a GameStop. One was to get a game. I was going out of town. I went to get a used game, an old used game, because I didn't want to buy the new one yet until I played the previous one
right.
on my Vita. So I went and got that. And when Xbox released those, it was a copper controller.
Oh, yeah.
And what was the other color?
The gray, it was like copper and like blue shadow, or I don't
Something
know,
like that.
something like
Yeah,
that.
like but they only had them at GameStop. No, they had the blue one at Best Buy and the copper
Yeah,
one at
yeah,
GameStop. I
yeah.
wanted the copper one. I went there, grabbed it, walked out. Like that. Besides exclusives, something like that, like a joystick, or I just need something old. Like I said last week, I don't have any reason to go to GameStop anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it's gotten to the point now where, like, the idea of a specific retailer exclusive piece of DLC isn't as big of a thing anymore. Like, for a while, it was like, God, I can't stand this. That, like, if I want this piece of DLC,
Mm.
I gotta get it from Amazon. If I want this, I gotta get it from, from Best Buy. If I want this, I gotta get it from so and so. You know what I mean? Like, and
Glad you brought that up.
maybe a company releases that content later on for you to purchase if you didn't get it for free from the other retailers, and sometimes they didn't, and that
I mean,
doesn't really seem to be as much of a thing anymore.
it doesn't. That
But
just
maybe
happened with Final Fantasy 15.
it did. I know it did, but
Yeah,
it's not as common. You know what I mean? It doesn't seem like it's as common anyway. Maybe I'm just not paying attention anymore because I just buy them off of the system itself. Like,
right.
I don't
Yeah,
generally deal with that. But again, it was a reason why I did purchase my Final Fantasy 15 from Amazon, was because they had exclusive digital content, and that content is content that seriously has an effect on the game. You know what I mean? Sometimes you get something that's like a little piece of something that maybe lasts for a little while, but eventually you're going to find something that's more powerful than what that is. But, like,
of course.
having that little traveler's thing that makes staying at a hotel half price, but you know what I mean? Stuff like that. Like, that's a big deal. Um,
Oh, I know because I don't have it.
I know, I know.
so that's why I'm fairly behind you a new Joker because I don't have that. But
Yeah.
it is what it is. I'm still having a great time. So
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't necessarily change the fun of the game, but it certainly changes an aspect of the effect of the game. Anyway,
yeah, yeah.
again, and maybe it's going to be time for there to be something like that. Like, maybe GameStop needs to be reaching out and saying, but maybe it doesn't need to be that it's an exclusive in-game item. You know what I mean? Maybe it needs to be. Look, at this point, we've gotten to the point where there are collector's editions that come out of a game that have no copy of the game with it. $120, $100 copy of the game, comes with a statue, a book, a poster, and there is no physical copy of the game, nor is there a code for the game in it. It's just a collector's edition of the game that has no copy of the game. And if you can do that, and again, part of the reason why that's happening is because of digital sales. You get a person who buys the digital copy on their, system, doesn't want a physical copy, doesn't need a physical copy, but still wants the collector's edition stuff. You can get it without having to worry about also getting a copy of the game you can't do anything with. And that's pretty much why that exists. So if you can do that, then why isn't there some sort of a benefit, of doing, something along those lines with GameStop and having Think Geek? You bought them, so leverage them. You know what I mean? Don't just take things that used to only be on Think Geek and put them in your stores. You got to get past that, because Think Geek existed for so long without any storefronts before you bought them, and did so well enough for you to feel like you needed to buy them. You know what I mean? Without storefronts. That product doesn't necessarily need to be in the store. However, there are tons of people who might buy that product if they're aware of it, and a lot of people have no idea what Think Geek is. Because a lot of that pop culture, or not even necessarily pop culture, let's say less pop culture, just geek culture stuff, as it's become more mainstream, there are people who are willing to wear those t-shirts and buy those little trinkets that might sit on their desk, or have a pencil sharpener that looks like R2-D2. But they don't necessarily need to be in a storefront like a GameStop, because a lot of that same stuff you can get there. You can get it in FYE, which barely sells music anymore, but has tchotchkes. You know what I'm saying? Or you can get them at your local comic book store, or you know what I mean. And as far as being able to go to a GameStop to pick up consoles, that's why Target. And, we talked about this last time. I mean, eventually you maybe be able to just walk into a 7-Eleven and pick up a game console. Who knows? But at the same time, we've also talked about the future where consoles themselves don't exist anymore, right? That everything is some sort of a platform.
It's just a service.
It's an app that runs on your TV or your Roku or whatever that isn't going to have discs anymore anyway. And therefore, you need some kind of a powerful system. You need something to be able to run it. But where does that exist? And can it be done via the cloud or, whatever? So I don't know, man. I think that the idea of doing something, I mean, I get it. It wouldn't make a difference to me because I've already gone all digital, and so have you.
It takes something very unique for me to go buy a physical copy of something nowadays.
Right. For those of you guys who are listening and gals who are listening, if you are still a person who does buy physical copies of games, whether it's because you get a discount when you buy them, say at Best Buy or Amazon, or if it's just because you still have that feeling of I need to hold something physical, or the idea of actually owning it like I own it, and so therefore you can't take this away from me, kind of thing, which doesn't even really exist anymore now that you can have a physical disc that you can be locked out of. Buying a physical disc
for a game
could be the same thing as just buying a license that happens to be on a physical disc, and when they decide that disc is no longer valid or they don't want you to have access to it, they can lock it.
I mean,
what I mean?
Think how many times we see reports like, the servers on such and such is shut down.
Right.
Yeah, you bought the disc, but now you can't play it anymore because they shut the servers down. So
right, because everything is a platform or a service now. Games themselves are a service now. So, but yeah, I mean, okay, so let me know what you guys think. Hit us up. Shoot us an email. Remember, you can do that, loadingsnacks@gmail.com. Let us know what you think about this whole idea of selling physical copies early. I'd love to hear it. I would really love to hear it. With that, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. We are back. So, Sin, do you
Uh,
remember?
okay. No, not yet, but continue, and I might.
Do you remember anything? No. Do you remember a while back there were rumors about Nintendo being in talks with Netflix to do a show, and everybody's like, it's gonna be a Zelda show and Netflix is gonna kill it. Do you remember that? Do you remember that from like
I
a while
I
back?
I kind of do, not really, but I do remember
But a little
remnants
bit,
of it. I would
a
say,
little
yeah,
something
yeah,
something. Okay.
yeah.
Well, apparently, it has come to light that there is a Castlevania TV show in the works for Netflix. Um,
I did see that coming down the pipeline this week.
First, let me just start by saying I think that's awesome. I didn't think of that at all. You know what I mean? When I started thinking like, oh, Nintendo properties, that. But here's the thing: Castlevania is not really a Nintendo property. I mean, it's a Konami property. Am I tripping?
Yeah, no,
So I mean, I know
it's
that.
always been no,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's a
yeah, yeah.
Konami property. So while I think to myself, man, there probably are some obscure Nintendo properties I hadn't really thought of that maybe could work. This being the thing that like when Konami's like, well, we're still gonna do Metal Gear, but you know what I mean? Like we still own it, no
Hmm.
Kojima, and everybody's all mad and whatever, right? And people are like, you need to really put some more effort into like something like Castlevania and things like that. And that's probably really the only other really big property, that they continue to have. And there are a lot of people who associate Castlevania with like Sony, I think. But first and foremost, okay, before we get into what I think Nintendo should do as far as maybe doing something along these same lines, what do you think of the idea of a Castlevania show for Netflix specifically?
Okay, so I'm gonna start this off by saying I have never been a Castlevania fan. Blasphemy, whatever, don't care. I've never been a Castlevania fan. Now, I was a fan of the Kojima version that came out last gen. Like they had two of them. Was it last
Mm-hmm.
generation? Like Lord of Shadows
Yeah.
or something it was called or whatever. Yeah, like
Yeah.
I did mess with that. I did mess with. I never played the second one of the reboot ish whatever one. I played the first one. I did like it a lot. But straight up, never been a fan whatsoever of Castlevania. I respect its place in the universe, but just never was my thing. Now, them getting a show. Sorry. Uh, I'm excited, and the reason why is one, I'm excited whenever one of our beloved franchises as anime, video gamers, pop culture, whatever, gets, so it gets like a mainstream kind of treatment. You know what I mean? Like, let's keep it going. Let's see it do well. Hopefully, fingers crossed, so that more can, what I'm saying, come out. So I'm excited. But the biggest thing I'm excited about this Castlevania series on Netflix is the fact that uh, I might be saying his name wrong, but ID Shankar, whatever his
Yeah.
name
Yeah.
is. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who was behind the Dirty Laundry Punisher joint and the Vicious Gritty Power Rangers joint. He's
Mm-hmm.
producing it.
Yeah.
I'm 150% on board. It's animated, so it throws me off a little bit, but
Yeah.
seeing what he did with those that I absolutely loved, both of those little fan short films were so great. I cannot wait to see what happens with this
Yeah. I
Castlevania
mean,
Netflix series.
I'm actually a little disappointed that it's animated. Um, I
I
kind
feel
of
you.
wanted it. I wanted it to be a live action. Here's why. While I'm not a huge Castlevania fan myself. Like I have a lot of respect for Castlevania, but not really my thing. More of a Metroid guy than a Castlevania guy. I understand the whole Metroidvania thing that's going on right now, but um, Castlevania is cool. I don't hate it or anything like that. Just not a huge fan or whatever, the way a lot of people are. At the same time, I feel like this could certainly benefit from reaching more people than fewer people. And I feel like the moment you make it animated, it immediately shuts tons of people out. Where I
Oh
feel like
God,
live
yes,
action
yes.
is inviting to everyone, even if it's more gritty. You know what I mean? I mean, let's just be real. We're talking about vampires. We're talking about a very specific family in the Belmonts, but we're talking about vampires. We're talking about Dracula. Let's just, you know, vampires and Dracula have been done over and over again, but it has been done very, very well. So whether it's the Twilight series and you love it or you hate it, or it's your favorite show,
True
some True
Blood
Blood,
or Vampire
or
Diaries.
it's
Yeah,
vampire, you know what
yeah,
I mean? Like, it's
yeah.
been done, Lost Boys, whatever. It's been done to death, to life, whatever. Um, but I do feel like if you make it animated, you immediately shut a lot of the audience out that could possibly be fans to push this to the next level. You know what I mean? So I feel like by making it animated, automatically your expectations are low, right? Because it makes it really niche. This is something that becomes like when they decided to do the Voltron animated series, right? I like it.
Mm.
It's cool and all, but it's really for a very, very specifically niche
Yeah, but
audience.
Trick was with Voltron. That already started as animation,
Right.
so it
And
makes
but
sense for it to go there.
you're right, but at the same time, Power Rangers does exist. It is live action. You got to remember that
Mm.
Voltron, yes, it is an animated show. However, Voltron is along the lines of every other kaiju, Godzilla, Ultraman, like all of those things are live action shows and Power Rangers, which is essentially Voltron, right? You got 5 characters that have their own robots that then form a bigger robot. That's
And they're all
literally
different
what,
colors.
you know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's literally what Voltron is. Should they have done a live action Voltron? No, I probably would have hated it. So I understand what you're saying. But my point is that
Mm.
by making it an animated, when you can take something like that and you could make it live action because vampires and so forth have been done so well. If you look at what's going on with moving comic books to live action, the ability to take a video game and make it live action, I think has a lot more potential to grab people the way something like The Walking Dead did. To me, this Castlevania show should be among the lines of what The Walking Dead is. It should be that
Mm.
comic to Walking Dead, that gaming to Walking Dead, because you just open it up to so many more people. Does that make sense? Like,
I'm not gonna say Walking Dead. I like the way they put it as a more of a Game of Thrones type of thing. I
well,
think that, but I think in the same slate of what you're trying to say.
yeah, but Game of
Yeah,
Thrones is like, you're right, I guess, in terms of the fact that Game of Thrones it was a book. It's not comic, but you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not exactly the same thing. It's more like a Lord of the Rings as far as what that is. And the act of turning a novel into a live action thing, be it a movie or a TV show, is more common. Um, but it remains to be seen, obviously, what they do with this animation and whether or not it is more
true.
for adults. Does it end up being sort of kitted out? I don't think so with the people who are involved in it.
I'm pretty sure it's gonna be not for kids.
Right. But it makes it more anime, which immediately makes it more
I agree
niche.
with that.
Period.
I
Period.
agree.
So I'm just saying that while I think it could be successful, I do think that, again, they are shooting for a smaller target audience, clearly, by making it animated. But I think it is something that could very well and easily exist as a live action show. Having said that, and having seen what people have done with live action versions of Metroid, I think that Metroid would make a great Netflix show if done properly. Um, because I think the Castlevania joint will be cool. I'll certainly watch it. I'll check it out, and if the first couple episodes are good, then I'll watch the rest of it. Um, but yeah, you're right. Like I don't know how well Shankar can do animation, but I like his ability as a director.
Right, right. Well,
And
he's yeah.
it's enough that it commands, you know, people who are well known actors to do short films and stuff like that for him.
Oh
So,
yeah,
you
yeah. I
know,
mean, like I said, look at Dirty Laundry and Power Rangers one. Like he had what's that? Thomas Jane. Recasting his role as the Punisher. Had Katie Sackhoff as the Pink Ranger in the second one, and Casper Van Dien is I can't remember who was supposed to be in the Power Ranger one, but yeah, like he gets people to come out and do a short film. So with
yeah.
this being a full Netflix project, yeah, it's gonna be
I
good to see what
mean,
he brings to the table.
it's supposed to be super R rated. So,
Oh yeah,
I'm with it. I'm
you
I'm
think they
with it.
they chose the animated route for budgetary purposes? Because think if it was live action with the world of Castlevania with undead and demons and all that kind of stuff, like CG level might have been too high, so they said let's just do
I
animated to keep
certainly do.
costs down.
I certainly do. I mean,
Okay.
it still requires you to pay voice actors and pay
It
animators
does.
and pay, most of the animation stuff. A lot of it gets sent overseas to actually get done. A lot of it gets storyboarded here, but a lot of it is done overseas, and there's a lot of stuff that's changing with the way that cost is going to be affected by that kind of stuff, specifically because not to get political, but because of the kind of stuff that Trump is doing right now with um talking about adding tariffs and things like that to anything that comes from overseas, it could certainly make it more expensive to do something like
Mm.
that than it might have been to do it all and shoot it live action here with actors from here and CG studios from here. Um, so it's an interesting landscape. That obviously was a decision they made before these things were kind of put in place. But now that those
Yeah.
things are beginning to happen, it certainly could change. What that's going to cost. No, there's just no doubt about it. So I don't know. It's interesting. I'm excited for it. I really want to see it. Netflix has really not done much that hasn't been good. At least not the things I've been interested in. Some of the things I wasn't interested in have been really good too. So,
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of faith in Netflix, and they seem to be doing a lot of what Marvel does in terms of picking the right people and kind of finding, you know what I mean, kind of finding the
Yeah.
right producers, directors, writers, people with vision. I dig it. So I'm excited about it. I think it's gonna be dope. Again, I would like to have seen it live action, but as usual, we'll hold judgment until we can see it.
Yeah, you know me. I'm with you. I wish it was live action, but
Yeah,
as an animation, like as an anime fan, what I'm saying, I'm happy to see it in that form. But I do
yeah,
agree with you 100% as far as this makes it more niche
yeah,
than if it was going to live action, to reach more people. So
yeah.
when it comes out, I'm gonna sit down, I'm gonna watch it all in one shot, and what I'm saying, just wait at this point. It'll be out this year, so looking forward to it.
Dig it. Hey, listen, I'm gonna throw a curveball at you real quick before we go. I don't
Cause
need. I
it's
only.
what you like to do. It's
Yeah, I
what you
do.
like to do.
I do. But listen, but I'm only throwing this out there because somebody asked me. I was out last night, and somebody was like, You're into like animation and comic book stuff like that, man." And they decided to ask me a question. So I'm gonna pose this to you because this is something they told me that they think is happening in the Dragon Ball universe as far as Super is concerned. So I'm just gonna throw it out there. This person said to me that they think that currently they are setting up for Pan to be the most powerful character in the Dragon Ball universe. Does that sound right to you?
Pan being set up to be the most powerful person in the Dragon Ball universe.
As like a
In
3 month
Dragon
old
Ball
being able to
Super,
fly. Yeah. Being able to fly and like pick up huge things at like 3 months old and like that.
No,
I'm just
no,
no.
no. I don't. I, besides that little bit, that was in like one little episode, like little filler type of episode or whatever. Like
Yeah,
it.
but it just I'm just saying as far as a
I
callback,
mean,
like
obviously, she's a saying and she's part of the future. You know what I mean? But like, I don't even know if that's where Super is even headed right now. I have my own thing about Super right now that I'm a little bit disappointed with.
uh-oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Me and New Joke are gonna have a discussion about it.
Okay.
But no, I don't see that.
Okay. You don't see
But
it.
like,
Okay.
if that's something that's gonna happen, that'll be something that be happen like to something go out of Super into like if they would decide to do something after Super. You know what I mean? But like, no,
Okay.
no, no, not if
I'm
anything
just
else.
asking. I'm
I
just
feel you.
asking. I'm just throwing it out
I
there.
feel you.
I'm
I
just
feel you,
asking.
but nah.
Okay. All right. Then we'll leave it at that. With that, ladies and gentlemen, you tell me if you think sin is wrong.
Yeah, do it,
Cause I
please,
don't know.
please.
I don't know. But yeah, let us know. Make sure you hit us up on all the socials. We're at Loading Snacks. I mean, that's relatively easy. You can find us on Facebook, Loading Snacks. Just look us up. We up in there. Don't forget to
There
check us
we
out
are.
on YouTube. YouTube.com/ Loading Snacks Crew. But if you just search Loading Snacks on YouTube, again, you'll find
You'll
us because
find us. Yeah.
we do some zany things, try some nasty snacks, usually courtesy of Sin because he's nasty.
Thank you.
Um, you can catch me on the socials. I'm at Empty Shells, MTSHELLZ. Same thing across your gaming platforms, if you will. Sin, tell the people where they can get a hold of you.
If y'all want to game with me, uh, on
Oh, I ain't gonna
Xbox,
game with
you can hit me at Sincere619, and also on Twitter and Instagram, you can follow me there. If you want to game with me on a PlayStation, it's the same thing. Just replace that I with a L, and you'll find me right there.
you. Dig it.
And if you want to email me, it's send.loadingsnacks@gmail.com.
My man. All
Yeah,
right, ladies and gentlemen, one more time, I'm gonna shout out the homie K, Creative Hands Multimedia, for providing the music for the show.
absolutely.
Not just for this podcast, but generally the music that you hear on all our web shows and all that kind of stuff. Dude's doing some serious production, so y'all check him out. With that, we're gonna get out of here. Toodles and lose.